Welcome to Cox Connections, a link between you, our customers, and what's happening in the community we share. I'm Kim Stanley, Vice President of Operations for Cox Roanoke. The region's transportation needs and challenges took center stage at the October Executive Discussion Series. Cox Business and the Roanoke Times have partnered to host a series of business discussions for those wanting insight into local issues of importance. Most recently, the panel talked about issues surrounding transportation, from attracting low-cost air carriers to launching passenger rail service to widening Interstate 81. The panelists were David Foster, Executive Director of Rail Solutions, Jacqueline Shuck, Executive Director of the Roanoke Regional Airport, Wayne Strickland, Executive Director of the Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission, and Ray Pethtel, Director of the Transportation Policy Group, Virginia Tech Transportation Institute, Interim Executive Director of the I-81 Corridor Coalition. Jackie Shuck and Wayne Strickland join us now to recap the discussion. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
So how was the executive discussion series? We had great attendance.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was very good.
Very
I thought
informative.
a lot of good issues came up. We didn't solve all the transportation problems, but I think that part of the important ideas about doing these kinds of the series that Cox and Roanoke Times presents is getting ideas on the table.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. How would rail transportation impact Roanoke and the surrounding community?
Well, it would offer another way for people to come and go from the valley. Often people say, how does the airport feel about that? Mm-hmm. And in truth, we don't compete with cars all that much, and I think the people who take rail would be the people who normally would be driving to another city. So in truth, I guess we have an expansive view of things. More transportation options are better.
Better for the economy and everything.
Absolutely.
Right, it gives another alternative, another option for people to choose.
Absolutely. So thinking about the airport, how do we attract more air carriers into the airport as well?
What we end up doing is, at one time the airlines had a huge number of planners and schedulers, and they pretty much knew what was going on in every city they served or were thinking of serving. That's not true any longer. They've cut back, as have most companies. And so at this point, what they need for us to do is feed them information. So we spend a great deal of time gathering data on our demographics, what's going on in terms of business growth. Mm-hmm. If we can identify a business that is coming into the valley that has a lot of connections to a particular other city, we let them know that. It's basically putting all that raw material in and hoping in the end that we can convince them to add service.
Mm-hmm. So it's not sitting and waiting for them, it's actually going out.
If you sit and wait anymore, you'll sit a long time and nothing's going to happen.
Right, that's interesting. So, Wayne, we talked a little bit about how important transportation is to economic development, but speak specifically to what the panel talked about and the real importance of more transportation options in this valley.
Well, I think what's important is for any community to have connectivity and accessibility. If you're isolated and you don't have adequate transportation system serving your area, then you're really not going to be competitive in the global economic environment. And we have great opportunities here. We have a great airport. We have the Heartland Corridor and the I guess the new Crescent by Norfolk Southern's pursuing. CSX has services.
Explain to our viewers the Heartland Corridor. Can you briefly outline that?
It's a new, it's an expanded rail service that the Norfolk Southern's always run from the port of Hampton Roads into Ohio. Mm-hmm. In the old days, it used to take an extra day to get to the goods to Ohio because the tunnels in West Virginia and Western Virginia couldn't handle double-stacked containers. Well, the Heartland Corridor, Norfolk Southern, working with the Commonwealth of Virginia and the state of West Virginia, found funds to heighten the size of the tunnels so that these double-stacked containers could go through. And so they cut almost a day off the service time of delivering goods from Hampton Roads to Cleveland, Chicago, and that area.
Okay, thank you for that.
And besides the rail service, we also have good highways. Interstate 81 has some congestion issue, but issues. But I mean, 460 is, we've made some improvements there. It's a good connector to the eastern part of Virginia. And we have alternatives. I mean, we have biking activities. We have a public transportation system that needs to grow and needs to be expanded. But we have, all kinds of alternative transportation options here as well.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned it is important. We are a global economy,
Right.
but also we have to attract more businesses so that we do continue to grow. And businesses really do look for those options, of getting not only their services in and out of the valley, but also their employees.
Exactly, exactly.
It's
And companies always look for the communities that have good, sound transportation systems available to them.
Okay, all right, that's good. Well, thinking about the executive discussion series, what do you think, Jackie, was the most important thing that our participants walked away knowing?
Well, actually, I think one of the things that maybe I learned a little more clearly and was really the focus of the public is very much on maintenance. Growth is important and keeping up and looking at the future is important, but a number of them expressed the concern that we not let what we have fall into disrepair. Mm-hmm. That it's not a good planning mechanism to always have to replace, but better to maintain and upgrade. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the things. The other thing, I guess I became a believer in rail and freight on rail. Recognizing that the more freight that could be put on rail will decrease some of the truck traffic on 81, which may decrease some of the pressure to have to put a lot of money into the highway.
Oh, that is good. That is something that I don't think we often think about, so that is good. How can citizens get more involved in the transportation issues, in the community and just in Virginia?
Right. Well, I think they have to be active. They have to look at talk to to folks. They have to participate in the planning process. Virginia Department of Transportation has a series of meetings throughout the year where they discuss their 6-year plan. And quite frankly, there are all kinds of planning processes that go on at the local level, at the regional level, at the state level. I mean, currently we're pursuing a partnership for livable Roanoke, and one of the elements of it is the focus on transportation, the future of transportation here.
A lot of different ways to get involved, that's for sure, and thank you both for your involvement, one in the executive discussion series and also for being on the show today. Always good to see you. Thank you. Still to come, find out how a principal, a realtor, and a software programmer created a successful small business.